Hello, and welcome to the Emancipated Citizen Podcast. I'm Ben Snow.
And I am Zach Reyes.
And joining us today, an ex-Muslim from Malaysia now seeking asylum in Sweden, is Fairuz.
Yes, it's me, Fairuz here from Malaysia. So, a little background about me. So, technically I'm born as Muslim. My mom is a Malay, my father is a Pakistan. And I born in a religious background. So after, understanding Muslims and everything, I make a decision to renounce myself as an atheist. But in Malaysia, it's not allowed to become an atheist. And then, I filed a case to renounce Islam because my parents have complained. And I never know about this process initially. And after I was involved indirectly in this matter, I was for 8 years been prosecuted by the religious department in Malaysia. So this is a very brief explanation of what happened. So during these 8 years, I gone through all type of persecution from the religious department, including some hittings and beatings, until I have to fled myself and come to Sweden to seek asylum, and still currently in the process for about 5 years. So this is a little introduction about myself.
Yeah, so Fairuz, we are very thankful to have you on the podcast, and I think one of the main reasons here is there's not nearly enough awareness being raised about human rights issues in Malaysia specifically, religious freedom issues in your country, and the way that ex-Muslims have been treated, especially as stories over the past few years, the past decade, have illustrated for us. Malaysia is is essentially a mixed kind of theocratic and like secular government where different laws apply to different religious groups, and in that system, people who renounce Islam or even stop practicing or have different worldviews from that of their parents and communities face many difficulties, and so this is what we wanted to talk about today. So Fairuz, is this something you're able to speak about first, and like kind of the public perception of like Malaysian religious pluralism, how that works out in reality, and maybe kind of phase into your own personal story and activities, as well as the difficulties that, of course, other people and activists face in your home countries, your home country.
Mm-hmm. So right now, right now, the main thing is in Malaysia, as you say that Malaysia was built with using the multiracial, aspect. So once we got an independent from Malaysia itself, Malaysia was not like this before, from the history side, but it's been misused by the politician and the religious counterparty and the political party. That's the problem. So the main thing is Malaysian federal law. I will try to talk so that first, second, third. The first one is Malaysian have 9 kings, sultans, that each one are ruling their states separately. And we have a Sharia law under them. And the second one is in the parallel law, there is a federal law that's running same power as them. But although...
I'm sorry, is Sharia law under all of them or only some of them?
if you ask me, the federal law is the main one, but the Sharia law is the second one, who are the main law, who are, what they call that, who are govern the Muslims.
Yeah, but are all state governments like run that way, or are there also state governments in some states that don't use Sharia law?
No. All the states, although there is no king, we have like Borneo, Sabah and Sarawak, we don't have kings. Even in that state, the Sharia law is mandatory. We can't escape out to any of the countries. We have 14 states in Malaysia. In the 14 states of Malaysia, all the Sharia is compulsory. That is the enactment. It's been used even right now. Islam is applicable in all the states, including Sabah and Sarawak. That's what it says in the federal law itself. And the federal law says this: any matter that related to Muslims need to be referred to the Sharia court, not to the civil court. So anything related to Muslims, for example, Muslim family affairs, Muslim crimes, or even apostasy, you need to refer it to the religious authorities or the religious system. That's the Sharia. We can't seek some help from the civil or the federal law. It's not been allowed completely. Do you aware of this? No?
So, no, I wasn't aware that it was this this strict before. So basically there is a kind of a secular federal law that theoretically applies to everyone unless you're Muslim, in which case you're going to be referred to a Sharia court, whether you like it or not, or whether you even identify yourself as Muslim. As long as your family and background are Muslim, then you're going to be judged by those different rules, right? So it's kind of a system where from the outside it might seem like there is religious freedom, tolerance, pluralism, in the sense that like non-Muslims can live their lives without praying or fasting, drinking alcohol, practicing their religions openly. But for people who are born within a Muslim background, then they're subject to a completely different system that is based on Sharia law, the way it is enforced.
Yes.
And like Iran or Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan, maybe to a less extreme extent. Right, but it is the same concept.
Yeah, same concept. Another one, under the federal law itself, okay, there is a freedom of religion called Article 11. This is what it says: the freedom of religion is guaranteed for everyone who born in Malaysia after 1957. Okay, this is what it mentioned. But there is a special clause mentioned. It's not applied for Muslim born in that clause. So, freedom of religion is guaranteed for non-Muslims, and it is not applicable to people who are born in Muslim. It doesn't matter which race you are. You can be Malay, you can be Chinese, Indian, or some other races. Like we have like Sabah, Sarawak, and a lot of, even we have Portuguese. You are not allowed to become a non-Muslim. If you want to become a non-Muslim, each cases need to be challenged in the Sharia court between the religious department and the plaintiff. So this is the process that they try to say that, this is how the system works and everything. But the issue is, yes.
So it actually says in the Constitution that religious freedom does not apply for people of a certain ethnicity, but for everyone else it does apply. Yeah, I think this is probably one of the clearest examples that you can think of what you'd call an apartheid state, right? Where where certain it's not even about worldview or religious group. It is about ethnicity. If you're a part of a certain ethnicity, then certain human rights do not apply to you. And so we come to this distinction that might be invisible to most of the world, that this facade of religious tolerance is actually a system for an apartheid state, where different people are treated with different rules, and I think there are a lot of parallels that can be drawn, for example, to the Gulf states where a lot of foreigners are going to say that they're free in some senses, like, you know, foreign women wearing bikinis on beaches, like most recently Cristiano Ronaldo like having this legal exception about being allowed to live with his girlfriend, which the rest of us are not allowed to do. And so, it is. There is a certain irony to it as well, where how Sharia law can be particularly discriminatory towards Muslims. And that's definitely not okay. And I think it's an issue in many countries that we need to raise a lot more awareness about.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Zach. You see that you say that the awareness, the problem is this awareness, even people in Malaysia are not aware of. If you say this, that a rehabilitation center is established just to punish these people, they will say no, that is not true. It's just a class, you know, it's just a school for you to study. Actually, it's not. You are getting forced to eat meat if you're non-Muslim. If you're a Hindu, they will force you to eat meat. You know, Hindu, you know, it's a sacred. Beef is a sacred. So they will force you to eat without giving you meals. They will slap you. They use a treatment like pepper. They just crush the pepper and put it in your eye. And they say that, oh, there is a gene in your body. We need to take it out. By doing that, that is so inhuman.
It's like a forced re-education camp, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting that Malaysia has recently said they will not deport Uyghurs back to China because they're subjected to exactly the same treatment there.
Yes, that's a double standard. Normally, that's double standard. In Malaysia, if anything, for example, that's benefiting the Muslims, they will say, oh, everything is okay. If something that is like against the Muslims, they will say it's not at all. But they won't say it openly. They will do it silently. Do you know each cases of a post?
Let me just. I'm really sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
When you say if something is good for Muslims or the Muslim communities, then they're gonna stand up for it and promote it. I don't think that's true, strictly speaking. What this seems to be is a system designed to bolster Islamic authoritarianism, Islamic ideology at the expense of Muslims as individuals. So, like, Muslims are actually the victims in this scenario. True. Right. So it's not for the benefits of Muslims, really. It's for the benefit of an ideology that's not even necessarily all of them adhere to, because, as we all know, there are many different practices and interpretations of Islam.
Yeah.
Do continue, please.
Yes. So the issue is right now that this government is trying to portray that they are they are very empathy regarding this matter. Like in Uyghur, they say that, you're supposed to know not to do that. And even like the Quran burning right now in Sweden. So it really sparked very big in the whole world. But Malaysia says that we're going to print 1 million Quran to be distributed worldwide. And 2 million ringgit has been allocated just for that. It's a public tax money. So the thing is right now, there is a very imbalanced law is happening in Malaysia. And everyone, I can say the Muslims, is stuck in the system. Completely, there is no freedom of religion. So a Muslim that wished to renounce outside, this is what the law says. They need to get an approval in the Sharia court. And the Sharia court is not granting anything. They keep on pressuring us by, they say that you are not allowed to do that. You cannot become a non-Muslim. So this makes our life completely unmeaningful. You see, what can you do? How do you go practice something? For example, I want to become an atheist activist. I'm not allowed to do that because in Malaysia, if you become an atheist, it is a criminal, it's a criminal act.
Yeah. So it's, to elaborate on your point, it's not just that they tell you you're not allowed to become non-Muslim. Like, it would be one problem if when you go to the state and tell them, okay, I want this religious identification on my card to not say Muslim anymore. So, like, for example, I can buy alcohol or whatever. That would be one problem. But I think the deeper problem there, which you can elaborate on more, that is that as long as you're within this Muslim category, then your civil rights are limited, right? Then your freedom of expression, your freedom of practice, even the right to choose whether you're going to eat and drink within a certain month of the year is limited through that, right? So yeah, it is a trap in that sense. Do continue, please.
True. So when in my personal experience, the first person who tried to renounce officially was Lina Joy. She attempted to leave Islam by changing her ID. She became a Christian, and then the court said no completely. Right now she's not in Malaysia, she's in Australia. And many people attempted, everyone failed massively, but the only person who are allowed, if they're born, how to say, it's an ID card error, or they are born as non-Muslim, and then, suddenly they become Muslim because of parents. Only that category the government says can be given exception, but it's not a must. It's not a compulsory we can give them. If a person born as what they call that as a non-Muslim and they converted just because their parents converted, the government maybe can grant them the freedom of religion, but that is not a must for the government to do that. The government that I'm mentioning is both governments. It means the Sharia court and the Islamic authorities. They are both a different organization. They look similar, but they are not. So this thing is keep on playing a big limbo in the system. You understand? So it means they will go to the religious department to become a renounced as a Muslim, and they say you're not allowed to do that. So they go to the court to be challenged, and the court say you are doing something that is a criminal according to the Malaysia Sharia system. It's a criminal act. And then they say, okay, what is the solution? And the lawyer or the judge, they will say there is no solution. This is how Islam is all about. A person who become infidel or whatever, it need to be chopped. According to the hadith, we need to just, hudud them. But in Malaysia, the federal law says that you can't do that because everything is a killing. For example, like punishment, like any capital punishment need to go through them. But Sharia court can whip a person. They can detain an apostasy or any criminal offense of Sharia. And if you go in court as zina, sleeping, having an intercourse out of nikah, you can be sent to jail as well.
Of having sex outside of marriage, so you can be sent to prison or whipped in public for that, yeah?
Yes, not in the public, but inside the prison. They have Islamic prison as well. They can do that, but they're trying to follow like the Aceh, public caning in Terengganu. Another side, we have it. Another state, Kelantan, Terengganu, they're doing a public caning right now. I think recently, if you notice, 2 years back or 3 years back, a woman got whipped because they were staying together. They're like, they're like a lesbian or something, so they whipped them in the public. So that thing is happening right now, and this thing, this matter is getting deteriorated each day by day because more people are talking about religion in Malaysia, Everything become halal and haram. Oh, you cannot, the water need to be halal. How do you measure a halal in the drinking water? And for example, if your bottle have no label of halal, they say, what water is this? It's like, I have no idea how to measure this. Is that like the stereotype, or is this like something is trying to push you? And the worst part that we have
to be honest, yeah, that sounds to me like satire that some comedian would come up with, something like halal and haram water. You don't even see that in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, is halal like water? That water's never been through a pig.
In Malaysia, the mineral water, if you notice, everything have the halal symbol. And if a Muslim is consuming that water without the logo, it's like kind of like people like, not even people, it's like someone will come and say, even non-Muslims say, bro, there is no halal, bro. How do you drink water that is no halal? It's like, what? It's just a water. It's like, how the water is not coming from pig, as you say. It's just a water. And then the things that's making it bad is like, oh, you can't consume something that is not, what they call that, the halal logo is not there. It can be a vegetarian, like a vegetable. If there is no any halal packaging, they say, this is haram. You need to put it in the haram department. So things are getting how to say that? It's getting like Talibanism is like spreading in Malaysia in another form. You know what I say? It's like everything is halal, haram. And then people started to wear, the purdah in Malaysia, covering up like, the full hijab. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, where does all this comes from? And another thing in Malaysia, this is the question that I asked the judge. I asked the judge, says that, you, in the Quran, in the Surah Al-Baqarah 256, if you all know, it says that there is no punishment for people who apostate in this world. Okay? So it means Allah says that if you apostate in this world, there is no punishment in the Quran.
And that there's no compulsion in religion, right?
Exactly. I bring a Quran and show it to the judge, and the judge says that you are insulting me. It's like I say, I'm not insulting you. I'm telling you what's written in the Quran. And he says that I have any obligations to listen to you. So you need to go like 2 years in detention. Just like that. They have like kind of supreme power of do anything you wanted when you talk about human rights in Malaysia.
Yeah, it's something that I notice with a lot of those kinds of people where it's like, because the Islamic texts have say many different things, and a lot of the time they are contradictory. You'd find that when someone's trying to argue to defend Islam and say, hey, religion is a religion of peace and tolerance, and we don't have problems with other people, they'll bring up, there's no compulsion in religion and all of that. But when they go to their own quarters, their own corners, their own countries where the outside world can't really see them, then they change their mask and they start saying, they start quoting other parts of the Quran that would say, for example, wherever you see the disbelievers, kill them. So it's a very pernicious game that they play there. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that was planned in advance.
Zach, another one, and Ben, I just want to say something. The Quran is in Arabic, right?
Yeah.
It is in Arabic. I don't know whether the Quran is an old Arabic, is a new Arabic. We have no idea. In Malaysia, we are reading the Quran without understanding it. It means there is no any obligation that we need to understand the Quran, but we need to follow the Quran. This is what a term is being used in Malaysia by the imams. They say Islam is easy, just follow it. You understand? This is what they say. I mean, we always question, I even question many people. I say, I not an Arabic speaking, so I don't understand the Quran. And the imam or someone will say that, you no need to understand, just follow. So this is the main problem that I tell to people. Even in my own channel, I say to people, if you want to become a Muslim, you make sure you understand Arabic first. Is that true? You need to understand.
That's ridiculous. I mean, there's no piece of literature in the world that where you can't understand the basic ideas of it without knowing the language it was written in, right? I mean even today, people like you can study, like Russian authors through the English translations of what they wrote, get the basic ideas and all of that. I mean, sure, there are things that might get lost in translation. Translations are never 100% perfect, right? Sometimes. Yes. Sometimes you miss this minute detail here or there, or you aren't able to fully appreciate the kind of poetic achievement that is done in this or that text. However, in essence, if you want to get the general idea behind behind a certain piece of text, and especially if you have multiple translations from different people who have interpreted it and did their best to carry over the ideas into the other language, then it's not a necessity for understanding the content. And I think like the only way anyone can hold that position is to kind of say that the Quran is somehow special and it's not like any piece of literature in that way, that it can be translated, which simply makes no sense. So it's absolute nonsense when it comes down to the essence of this this topic. I think it's just it's a lazy excuse that people use.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's just it's a lazy cop out that you don't understand the real Arabic. Even Arabs sometimes say that. Hey, like the Arabic you speak right now is slightly different from the Arabic that's in the Quran, and even though you're gonna understand most of the words and read the sentences and get a meaning out of it, you can't properly understand the Quran until you have a 20-year education in classical Arabic or something like that, which it doesn't make any sense on any level. I think I've covered this. There's nothing more to say about this absurd claim.
True. So when I questioned this at the court, the judge becomes so angry, and then he started to say that, you cannot question about this. So you are not you're supposed not to be as a Muslim, you cannot question this. So I told to the court, I say, as you know, I'm not a Muslim anymore. According to my Aqidah, my faith, I'm not a Muslim. And suddenly the judges and the lawyers says that you are a Muslim because you have studied Islam in school. I was like, what? It is a compulsory element, that a compulsory subject to be studied in Malaysia. In Malaysia, every person that's born as a Muslim must study Islamic education. So they are using that reason for them to attain their thing, their aim. That, okay, when someone have studied a basic, religious studies, they are confirmed become a Muslim. And a person who born automatically Muslim, they are Muslim. They are not looking from the faith side.
Isn't there kind of a paradox there when like if the law says that you like your right to religious freedom doesn't apply if you are Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have like punishments for Muslims for being not Muslim anymore. So like the court, in a sense, has to acknowledge that you are no longer Muslim in order to punish you for that. But if they do acknowledge that you're no longer Muslim, then those laws shouldn't apply to you, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is the same exactly question I say. I say, because my faith is no more in Muslim and you cannot punish me. And they say, in your ID, it's mentioned you are Muslim. Can you see? This is how they twist it. They say, in your ID, your identification card, it mentioned you're Muslim, so you have to follow everything as a Muslim. And I will say that this is not Islamic as well, if you ask me. And they say this is Islamic. So a conversation happened at least 5 hearings completely, only for that, and they completely shut me off. They never give me any opportunity for me to speak. And my lawyer's been terminated. They terminated my lawyer. So my lawyer have no rights to defend me for this case anymore.
Yeah, so I really do appreciate your thorough explanation of the cultural, societal, legal situation in Malaysia for Muslims, ex-Muslims, and non-Muslims, and how that works over there. Would you like to talk about your own story, your own experiences? When did you leave Islam? What was the process towards that? How your community interacted with that? And all of that.
I have a comment to make first, though.
Yeah, do go on, Ben.
Yeah, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was made, more stories like this I hear, the more I think one of the Universal Declarations of Human Rights should be to not have your religion labeled on your ID card. For exactly this reason, and for not having to show an ID card with your religion on it to somebody who's going to hurt you for your religion. Reasons too.
But in Malaysia, everything is being ID'd in the religious way. It says only 2. One, they say every Muslim in Malaysia, they will have Islam printed clearly. And in the chip, there is Islam and what race you are. So if the police, like me, I have many times been stopped by police. So whenever, like during the Friday prayers, if I'm driving and someone stopped me, and if I'm having like Islam as my ID, they say, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in the mosque right now? So this is very common in Malaysia. So the only thing you escape is, one, you pay bribery. They will ask for money. If you want to escape, you need to pay me money. So you have to pay money, or otherwise you can be just fined for this to go to the Sharia court. So this is completely bullshit, if you ask me. So coming back to Zach's question, like my personal experience, I was, my dad is Pakistan and my mom is Malay. She's from, they have mixed from Indonesia, Banjar. That is another kind of race. So they were born in Malaysia, and then, my grandfather is an imam, and they are very religious. So we have all kind of materials like, Quran, Hadith, tafsir, that is the translation in the Quran and everything. So I started to adapt Islam since I'm very small. So starting from a basic Islam, we go step by step. We study for basic Islam, what is all about. In Malaysia, they say afardu ain, what is do and don'ts in Islam and everything. And when I started to read about this Quran, I have a one-to-one session with this imam. It means my parents send me to imam only to study Quran. So I started to question this imam in my own way. I say, how does this world existed? And they say, there is a God, there is a Allah who brings this, all this world, he's the one. I say, who's this guy? And then he says this, don't question more. You become crazy. I was like, what? I have a question. You need to answer me. And then he started to go to Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa. And then in that point of time, I know about Lilith. And I say, how about Lilith? And he was like, who is Lilith? That's kind of, to trick him, to know about more knowledge that he knows. He don't know anything. And then he's trying to say is that Islam is beautiful. Islam is genuine. Islam is the onlyest religion. And he started to compare about Christianity suddenly. By
the way, there's something I'd really like to comment on, which is this. I don't know if in other religious communities they also use this, but this is something I've sold so much growing up. If you think too much, if you ask too many questions, you're gonna go crazy. Is that something you've come across, Sven, in a Christian context as well?
Do some more extreme Christians in the U.S. say it? Probably. Does the tradition I was raised in ever say things like that? No. Not in a million years. And that might be why there's a grand total of about 15 churches in the entire Midwest.
Wow. Yeah. It's such a lazy way to avoid critical questions. Yeah. But do go on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Whatever time.
Yes, and then I started to question him more when I still remember when I was reading in Surah Maryam. Surah Maryam is mostly about Jesus. I still remember. So it's about Maryam give a birth to this and this and that and that. I say it's that why suddenly there is about Jesus? And then he was like, that's how the Allah gave this word. It's because Jesus is Muslim. I was like shunned off. It's like, what? Jesus is a Muslim? He even never mentioned anything about religion, I think. And I don't know whether he existed. So a big debate began. That is first it happened. So because he says that if you have any question, ask me. So I started to ask this question he don't like. That is first. Second, when in school, I asked with my teacher, religious teacher, I say, well, all these things that what you are teaching, Islam, Allah, Muhammad and everything. Why are we learning this? First of all, this is not our culture. According to the Malay culture, we have nothing related about this Arabic, religion. We have our own belief. We have our own system. We have our own, our own belief because we was from the background of animism, Hindu, Buddhist, and after that was Islam. And I say, why are we taking this religion? It's so complicating, And then they give me this answer always. Just follow, don't question. If you ask a Malaysian, you can ask right now, any Malaysian, they will say this. It means that when it comes to this chapter, they say that do not question Islam, just follow it. Because questioning is a sin. If you have a doubt, ask with a person that can clarify this, like highest mufti or someone. How do you meet him? You have no channel to meet him. And he even don't know what is Arabic all about. So I started to have this doubt day by day. But I have much interest in science and technology. So I started to learn about, science and what is photosynthesis. I still remember when I was like 11 years about photosynthesis. It does bring logic. There is a sun, there is an oxygen, there's a carbon dioxide. There is a fertilizer and everything. It makes the plants grow. There is a scientific research about it. About, suddenly in Islamic, everything become flat. The earth become flat. There is no sphere, That doesn't make sense. When you go to the Hadith, Muhammad is the first astrologer to go to the seven, the Firdaus thing up there to meet Jesus, Moses, and it does not bring sense for me completely. So I started to question myself. It's like, is this religion, this is not to offend the Muslims. The first apostasy I have done, I have thrown the Quran and spit on that. This is truth. This happened when I'm 9 years old. I had such a disappointment when I started to know that all these things kind of man-made. Because whatever question I ask, it can be anyone. They say it's the same thing. Don't question me. It's like questioning Allah. You cannot question Allah. Allah is the only one person. You cannot question. Just follow him. He gives you strawberry. This is what they say. If you ask Allah a strawberry, Allah will give you a strawberry. Ask Allah a chocolate, He gives you a chocolate. This answer does not satisfy me even until now. I pray to Allah. I say, please give me chocolate to prove yourself. This has happened.
Yes. Oh God, if you are real, drop some chocolate from the sky, and
yes.
I can believe. Oh, I've done so many of those experiments growing up. Like, give me a sign, give me a thunderbolt, or writing on the wall, or it never happens. Until you get so desperate that you lower the bar so much that the sign actually becomes something that is likely to happen anyway. So. Yeah, make somebody cough in my class within the next 2 minutes, and then, oh my God gave me a sign. I've had that experience myself, actually.
Seriously, I've done that because when the religious teacher says that, ask to test your faith, ask chocolate or strawberry too. I always try to ask chocolate and strawberry. I even ask more than that. I say, show me a sign. What you say? Show me a sign. Maybe mix this light to on. Show me a sign. Where are you? So that was my second trigger that things does not happen completely. But I started to ask more questions. Because my granddad was a imam, and he says the same thing. Do not question much. Just follow. So I don't get the same thing.
I do feel like we have a lot of parallel experiences growing up and going to school, and I would like to see if you also had this contradictory experience going to school, where you have science class, you have religion class, and sometimes you're like, from 1 hour to the next, you're being taught completely contradicting things, right? Where like one example is like learning about the Australopithecines and like the earlier humans, the human evolution within world history class, like on a very brief level, and then like having a religious class like right after that, where the like the teacher would say that evolution is a lie, and we were created from mud and all of that. Or another one where, you have biology class. You're learning about sex and how that works physiologically. Puberty, hormones, this all has a physiological, natural explanation. And then you have religion class where you hear things like, if you're thinking about girls and sex and things like that, then that's the devil talking into your ear, and you have to say this prayer to kick him out. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, didn't we learn something else? Like this is part of our biology. There's a chemical reason for it. That's how we developed. It's all internal, and if it didn't exist, we wouldn't even be able to continue existing as a species. So, which one is it? And you get very confused sometimes. Did you have that experience as well?
Like me, I have the same issue. I do have the same issue like you. Like, I was in the science stream. In Malaysia, I'm a science stream because I took I graduated in biotechnology. So I know more. I love science. So I do science. So if you ask me the same thing, when I go to the science class like biology, and then when I go back to the religious, teacher, I started to talk about all these things that does not make sense to me. So whenever I question her, she'll just say, if you don't like, just get out of my class. So, and then ending up at the outside or ending up sleeping, but I do understand another one in Malaysia, all about the, what they call that, about the Islamic religious things. There is a basics in our history subject as well. So the non-Muslim studies about Arabic history as well. So that's another story as well. Like, that's so sick. The same thing is going on in the history. The same thing is going on in this. So for me, I grown up like this, completely like this, like, testing God. I want to see the God. And then I believe. I even tried how to say that other gods as well. Like whenever I pass by, like, okay, is this God is the real one? The Christian God is the real one. Or the Hindu God is the real one. Which God is the real one? But after knowing more about, studying and learning myself, until I'm like about like 16, 17, I completely demean the whole thing. I don't want to have this religion anymore. I totally done. I don't want to have it. So that's my first move. But I told to my parents, I say, I want to become a free person. I want to become unbeliever. They say like, oh, this is haram. You can't do that. Do you know my parents says to the religious department, it's okay to kill my son. This is what my mom told them. It's okay to kill him.
About that, would you like to tell us the story about like how did your parents find out about your beliefs? What did they do about that? How did it get to the authorities?
Yes. So what happened was I have a close cousin that normally I share most of the thing. So I did share to him that, like I'm not practicing anymore Islam. So this guy did mention to my uncle, and my uncle informed my parents. It's become a big issue. And then it was a bit, like on and off. It's like, okay, are you living Islam? Oh, you need to go to the, in Malaysia, if the parents encounter the children having a faith issues, they can lodge a report to the religious department. So they will give a counseling or anything. So in this matter, it took them at least 3 years when I was in the college, and makes things worse. The first trigger was when they find out that I'm dating with a Christian woman. That's triggered them, the first one, because they got a complaint from the college that I'm dating with them that is a non-believer, and they got shocked. And then they reported to the religious department, but the religious department, that point of time, never take action yet. They was in kind of like waiting, like, okay, we want to catch this guy, like red-handed, so that they want to take an action. So my first encounter with them was my parents complained to them, and I received a notification that, I need to report to the religious department, but never do that. In one point of time, it was like when I was like 20 after my college, because during my college time, I was many times approached by my parents that I need to become an Islam. They want me to repent. They know that I have lived completely Islam. I started to focus more on my science subject, more about in my research. I completely live, fasting. I started to eat pork when I was like 18. I started to eat I started to drink a bit. I don't smoke. I started to eat all these forbidden foods like in Islam that we cannot eat, like pork. And then all my parents happens to know, because I feel sick of it to hide in front of them. I say that I do all this. I'm not Islam anymore. So they'll feel that, okay, you need to be rehabilitated. What they call that in Islam.
Did you have any expectations or fears that you might face legal repercussions when you tell your parents that you're not doing all of that, or did you think that it's gonna be fine for you at that point in time?
No, I actually in that point of time already make a decision. If anything happened to me, I will really go into it. It means that even though that is my parents, because I'm a person that if I know that it's against my freedom, I wanted to go all the way out for me to get that freedom that I wanted. That is me. So when I know the consequences, my parents will dump me. I know that. My father will kick me out. Even my father bring my cousins to hit me with baseball bats. They did that with some hockey bats. They do that. They hit me in the public. They throw me. They trash me out. They kick me out. They stop giving some financial. I have to, can't complete my education at that point of time. It's a lot of struggle that I went during when I became an apostate. I have to sleep in the street. I ate rotten foods from the restaurant. I was completely out when they know that I'm apostate. They was like, I don't want you anymore. Just get out. You are not my son anymore.
No, honestly, it kind of makes me feel like lose faith in humanity. Every time I've heard this story so many times.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's an exception or one situation where this might happen, where a family might send some family members to beat up another family member for their religious beliefs, and for them to lose their homes, to be beaten and humiliated and legally persecuted for it. It's like I've heard that story more times than I can count, and I just don't have any words for it. It is something that needs to stop, and the world needs to pay attention to, and take active steps towards. It just makes me incredibly sad. Yeah.
So, yes. So I got bitten badly, swollen, and then I went to the police station. I says that, I got bitten by my parents, and they say, what's the reason? So I tell the police that, I don't have faith. And they say, that's not my problem, that's your problem. I cannot take this because this is a religion matter. So in Malaysia, if anything related to religion, they're not going to take this action. So they don't care about that. So I have no way out. Go back home, buy my own medicine, treat me, and just sleep. And that point of time, I left everything. I destroyed my SIM card, my phone. I was like kind of broke. I have nothing. I was like sleeping under old construction area. So I was just sleeping down there, thinking of my fate. Taking shower in the gas station. You don't have a proper place. But my girlfriend was quite supportive when they come to this matter. So she said that don't break down. You need to move, and because I know about my girlfriend, she's not a religious person. She's very open. She don't care about what religion, about religion. She was like kind of like whatever can happen for us is fine. I'm there for you. So that makes my day. I survived slowly. I built back everything. I worked as a part-time. People humiliate me. When people know I'm apostate, people just trash me out. They're like, you are just a dirt. Just go away. We don't want you. Malaysia is very common. You cannot say outside you're apostasy. You just become a hypocrite. You just say, I'm a Muslim, you just act. So from that, I think few years passed when I was like 2000. It was when I was like 21, 22 years old. That's like a major. I went to the what they call that, a department to change my status. Because I know that this thing is not going to work because it's not impossible. And they referred me to court. They say, we can't do that. You need to go to the court. A status cannot be dropped. You cannot change your religion. You're born as a Muslim, you die as a Muslim. And then I meet a lot of lawyers, and the lawyer says the same thing. They say this: get out of the country, go somewhere that you wanted. Do not challenge the government, because they're going to make mess with your life. They're going to drag this case, and they're not going to give anything. A lot of lawyers mentioned this to me. But the problem is, for me, I don't get why should they not give me? Because I'm not a Muslim. If I follow the Quran itself, the Quran says that there is no compulsion in the religion. That why should they do anything? That is what I was thinking. So I filed a case to renounce Islam. In 2009, they refused to take my case. The court says, I'm not going to register your case out. But I appeal again. And 2009 to 2011 only, they say that, okay, we can challenge this. 6 lawyers was against me. 6 lawyers, completely. I have no lawyer at the time. So all that happened like in 2011 to 2017 when I lived to Sweden. So in 2017, I fled to Sweden. I was given a counseling in Malaysia, that 2011 to 2012. But I was not not put inside the rehabilitation center or not, whatever. Because I tried to say is that, I don't want to have a religion. And then they say, no, you need to have a religion. I said, I don't want to have a religion. And then the religious department say, you need to put some religion that you wanted. I say, I have no. And then they say, just put it. So, if you ask...
What if you say, like, I'm a Satanist, or...
No, you're not
I
allowed.
worship the flying spaghetti monster. You're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not allowed to put that. You need to put only major religion. You need to put. They only give me this option. They say you can put Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, but you are not allowed to put Christianity and Buddhism. I was like, what? Why do you do that? And then what option do I have? They say just put Hinduism. Like what? I don't know anything about Hinduism. They say just put it down. If not, we're not going to take your case. So we have to do it. So when I do it such a way, and then they ask something that I can't even provide. They say, prove me that you are Hindu. You ask me to put the religion status, and you're asking me you are a Hindu. How does that make sense? They try to trap you. They try to make you like, you are locked in some way system. And I told to them, I say, I'm mentally disturbed. I'm physically tired. Why not? One, you follow the Islamic thing and you kill me. I say this. I say, just kill me off. They say, I can't do that. So they give me option. They say, one, you want to be in the rehabilitation center. They call a istitabah process. Or secondly, you just go to the, you just become an Islam. You just follow whatever we say. Third, leave the country if you are allowed. I was like, what? And then I say, why should I leave a country? Because this is where I born. They say, once you leave Islam, this country does not belong to you anymore. Imagine.
No, absolutely horrendous.
Yes.
Absolutely horrendous. After the court told you that, at what point did you realize that you actually had to leave, or started making active steps to leave your country? And what was that process like?
The process was, I was recalled again, because 2015 I said to them that I don't want to get involved anymore in this matter. And they say that it depends to the court. And then on 2017, I received a call again mentioning that I have to come back because a new report has been raised that I'm not following all the Islamic things. And they given me like few days for me to go to back them. And that point of time, I fled out. I was just, my first thing that I know that if I go back again, they could arrest me or they could do anything because they asked me to come back to the center, not to the court. They say, come back to the center. You need to go here. So I took a bag. I still remember. I took a bag. I just took I never know that the passport works or not as well. I just took a bag. I took a passport. I go to the airport. And they say this before going. They say, I know you are behind a Christian woman as well. You can bring her in as well. I was like, what? So we just fled out without knowing where are we going. So I went to the airport. I have some couple of money. I tell to the counter, I say, I need to go any country. I have no idea. Just book me a ticket. When you go out, you need some visas and everything. No preparation, bro. Nothing I have. I have nothing. I just bring I still remember, I bring my documents. I bring my clothes. That's like few clothes. That's it. Nothing. So I was like, I leave behind everything. My home, my car, my job, everything. I just left it just to save myself because I know a bad thing could happen to me because, they started to know what's happening. They already told me, they say, if I caught you again doing, something else like staying with women, zina, because I was staying with my girlfriend. They know that as well. They say, if I caught you anything, you are dead with us. So I have to run away just simply. So this guy says that the counter in app, take a ticket, man. Just take a ticket. And then they say, how about Sweden? I was like, I don't know what this country is, Sweden. I thought Sweden is Switzerland. And then they say, just go. I would take a ticket. You can fly there. And then I say, is my passport is working? So they checked it. They say, your passport have no ban. You can fly if you wanted. So I just took a flight.
You don't need a visa to Sweden?
No, because our Malaysian passport, you no need to have a visa. You have like 90 days of free visas applied.
Okay.
So so you can just fly out. So I flight out to a country, a place that completely I don't know what I'm going to. I don't know there is asylum process at all. I don't know all this. For me, I know that a bad thing will happen to me because I have a woman with me. I need to take care of her. I have my own life. So we just fly like that without knowing where we're going. Upon arriving Sweden, the police asks us, like, why are you here? I says that, I've been subjected for this and this. And then he says, oh, you've been prosecuted for religion. Do you want to apply for asylum? I say, what is that? I say, this is that it's kind of, if you're being subjected for this, you can apply for asylum. So the police helped us in Sweden, like the border police. And then they surrender us, give us to the immigration officer. So the immigration officer assessed us whether we have any criminal record or anything. They took our, like handprints. That's the process in Sweden. They took your handprints. But the good thing is it's a bit humanity because they treat you well. They say, do you want to have a coffee? You want to have a rest? You want to have a shower? So they give us a temporary room. Because we have no destination, we slept on the terminal like for 4 hours, 5 hours. Because we don't know where we need to go. It was super cold. And then I arrived Sweden, it was December. So it was kind of freezing. It was winter. So the police bring us to the migration. The migration brought us to another migration hotel to be stayed there. So they was feeding us. It was nice to them. We got a very good, what they call that. The first assessment was okay. There was kind of, don't worry, things are good. We will take care of this. So they took our passport that time. We don't have a passport. They took the passport and everything. But things started to change when the case officer has been assigned. In 2017, we came to Sweden. 2018, we got the first rejection mentioning that Malaysia is a safe country list. They say Malaysia is a safe country list, and then they say, as an atheist, you can just stay quiet. And then they say that, you can stay in hiding, it's fine. And then they say that you can pretend to become Islam. This is the rejection, they say. And then we reappeal again. In that point of time, because during the reappeal, my wife got conceived, she got pregnant, and then we have a baby. So they can't process it. So they have to put a stop for like a year. And then when our baby born, and then they say a stupid thing. They say, why not apply for a Malaysian citizenship for your daughter? I say, how is it possible?
Live like a fucking cockroach in the shadows, fearing for your life, not being able to express your own opinions, and having to fake being a part of a religion that you don't believe in, and I simply can't fathom how anyone can interpret that kind of thing as not being religious persecution, not being grounds for protection under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Refugee Convention of 1951. I mean, it's so black and white. It's so clear what religious freedom entails, right? And living in hiding it's not a solution.
And if I had a nickel for every time I heard some asylum officer say something stupid like that.
Yeah, or like something else that I've heard from someone who is part of the LGBT community, being told that, hey, you can keep your sex life to yourself if the state is going to put you in prison for having relationships with other men, then just hide it. Then why do we have the right for asylum in the first place if you're going to expect people to lie and to live in hiding and evade the law in their own home countries? Right? It's completely, it completely defeats the whole purpose of the concept of refugees and the right to asylum.
True.
So, how have things gone since 2018? I'm assuming you guys appealed the case, and what has been going on since then, and how are you doing right now?
A lot of depression pills, a lot of disappointment, a lot of rejection. I got, how to say that, seriously, until now, I'm still fighting for this. I don't know what I'm fighting for right now. I have explained completely everything. And then the Sweden immigration officers like deaf. You see, you can speak to a deaf person, they don't understand. It's very hard to explain to people who are making themselves deaf. I keep on telling the same thing for 5 years. And the thing is, this is what happened. On 2018, I got rejection mentioning that Malaysia is a safe country. I can live there. I just need to zip my mouth, okay? On 2019, they came back again, but they can't do anything much because my wife got pregnant. So they just put a force. In 2020, they came back again, asked they want to deport me and my wife and my daughter back to Malaysia. But the problem is my daughter have no passport because Malaysia cannot give a passport. You understand? Because she born for a Muslim and non-Muslim. So that's become a controversial thing. And another thing is, Sweden tried to, my case went to the court, and the judge says that it's okay for me to become a Muslim there, or it's okay for me to stay in hiding. And they say that I, who are the one who provoked the Sharia court, they say I'm the one who caused trouble with them, not they. And they say that, freedom of religion in Malaysia is guaranteed for everyone. I have it in written, They say freedom of religion.
How can it be that freedom of religion is guaranteed for everyone, and at the same time you're expected to stay in hiding because of your religious beliefs? There seems to be a contradiction there.
Exactly. So about 5 judges who assessed this case nullified the whole thing. They say, this is what my lawyer says. They say, I have a document from Malaysia that's genuine. The first my documents is genuine, and then I have a written statement from Amanda Whiting. She is an Australian professor who studied about Malaysia demographic, about the religious status. And she says that whatever I say was true, and the migration officer says that is not concerned them, because this is not their problem. So their problem, I don't know what is their problem actually. And then they say that all the documents that I given is not something that helpful. It can be forged. How do I forge a document from the Sharia court? And then we give like extra document from DOJ, Department of Justice, International Court of Justice. We have a lot of report in Malaysia. And they say that is none of the concern to be referred. So our case was rejected again in 2021 December.
Do you feel like the Swedish authorities are operating on a basis of they have this list of what they have prejudged to be safe countries, and if somebody comes with a case from one of those countries, then they would make their decision first that this is not legitimate, and And after the fact, I kind of tried to find reasons why this case is not legitimate. Do you feel like this is what's happening?
Until now, there is no any explanation from the migration side. Until now. Now I have like multiple lawyers, and I have a new lawyer as well. So we asked, because right now, sir, we are still in the process. They call that, it's a Swedish word, VUT. It means that impediment or force. They can't deport us because something is not correct. And we filed that we cannot be as a family, and I cannot express my thought. And as well, my daughter have no passport. She cannot go back to Malaysia. So this makes them hard, and I don't know what still they are doing. And we have still filed it some information, documents. So we have no idea. But this is what they say. They say that the last rejection, the court says that Malaysia have a functional legal system that can be challenged. So you, me, and my family need to go to the court in Malaysia again to start back the trial. Does it bring sense? How do I start back a trial for this?
That makes slightly more sense than Iran is a secular country and Saudi Arabia is a country that respects human rights. Both those stories are from Germany, by the way.
Those are exact quotes from migration officers here. I'm ashamed to say.
So if you read at my decision paper, you can say that the decision that they give is super nonsense. They say this because I told them, I am an atheist. The document you might say that I am a Hindu, I was not that. I already told them everything in my protocol. And they say it's not. They say for non-Muslim, it's okay to stay. I am a non-Muslim. They say that because I have come out of the faith. In Sweden, they are looking at me, I'm a non-Muslim. And Sweden is telling, you can be challenged in Malaysia. It's like, what? My ID says I'm an Islam. I cannot renounce. The court have clearly mentioned, the Sharia court have mentioned in my paper, they say that this person, Fairuz, cannot go out of religion because he born as a Muslim, he have studied Muslim and everything, and he is not allowed to go a Muslim. If he go out of Muslim, he is subjected for 4 years of prison, 10 time of lashes, including fines. So this is clearly mentioned in my paper, but the migration says that this can be, they say that we don't know how far this can be true in Malaysia. It's a dumb one, sir. It's like I don't understand until now. So if you ask me, Sweden says that Sweden only provides, I don't know about the current government. The government have changed right now.
At least it's more honest than and a lot of the other things you're saying, where they're like, hey, we have no idea what we're talking about, so who are we to say you're being persecuted? Like we don't even want to do our research. We just don't know, and we don't want to find out.
True. That is so true. That is how system works in Sweden. Everything. It's like, that is not my problem. That is nothing I can find. And that is not our thing that we need to investigate. So the problem right now is there is no ears for them to hear us. There is no one to understand. Like you see, at least Zach and what they call that band can understand what I'm talking because you're listening. In Sweden, they do this. I don't want to hear. You can say whatever you wanted. I have my own judgment. My own judgment is according to my outdated report that is 2006 or 2015. And I'm not going to trust anything, whatever you say. That is not my problem. Take back your kid to your country. This is how they are thinking. And they say human rights is only apply for people who use guns, like Syria, like other countries. So human rights is not for people like, from like this. And my former lawyer says that, I'm so sorry, can you go to New Zealand? Can you go to other country? I say, what are you talking? How do I leave this country? Because my daughter have no passport. And she recommended that if things goes bad, you can go like in hiding. In Sweden, go in hiding? Can you imagine? My former lawyer says, go in hiding in Sweden. Because their legal system failed so badly and they don't know what to do and they asked me to go in hiding. So I have to appoint another lawyer. We actually attempted to apply for work permit, but the work permit does not work because the insurance things is so complicated that some complicated thing happened. So the work permit does not happen. So our last try is this inhibition of action something. So if this thing happened, we can stay in Sweden or we still get a deportation. So the last resort is to bring this matter to the European court to stop the deportation and to question further like what have happened. But man, this is so tiring. I'm so tired. I'm very tired. It's like like you keep on fighting for this. When you talk, no one to understand, and then they are like kind of I don't know. They're not like they treat us like numbers. You're just a number. You're not a human. Why should I be? Why should I care about you? That's not my problem. So this is what is happening in Sweden. Mostly happening to ex-Muslims like atheists. This is so true. But if you are from Pakistan, you say that I'm a Muslim, a Christian is hitting me, okay, I will give you asylum. There is cases. There is cases. There is even people granted asylum. A boyfriend is hitting girlfriend. They give asylum for the girlfriend. There is a case. So it's like, why there is a double standard? It's like, why? You are granting...
I mean, subsidiary protection is technically not the same as asylum, which is like a subsidiary protection is granted to people in dangerous situations like war zones and I suppose like things like domestic violence situations, things like situations where people aren't specifically targeted for their beliefs or their identity, but they are nonetheless in very dangerous situations for one reason or another and cannot go back to their countries. But yeah, I mean clearly this is not what you're after, and what you need. You are a religious refugee. You are fleeing you are fleeing religious persecution, and you absolutely do have the right to asylum based on international law and Swedish law as well, right? So I really hope that the Swedish authorities are at some point going to see sense to revise this and make the right decision. And yeah, I would like to lastly ask you about are there like any people, resources, organizations that you would like to mention as we come to a close, promoting religious freedom and bringing awareness to this specific issue in Malaysia?
I want to say something. It will be very nice in case you can highlight in your podcast as well. Amnesty Malaysia is not highlighting about this. Amnesty Malaysia is being so hypocrite. I have contacted them recently, and I spoken to a legal department in Malaysia, and I says that apostasy is a serious, and they says this is not my concern. I say, why are you say that? They say there is no cases. I say I am a case, so you can refer me. They say no, I'm not going to take this. Amnesty Malaysia. So I have filed a complaint at the secretarial office in the UK, Amnesty British, and I have raised another complaint in Amnesty Sweden. So Amnesty Sweden came back, says that they want to investigate what have happened to us.
There should be a position for that. There should be something that that people can come and bring attention to Amnesty International about this kind of thing. Because I mean, as much amazing work that Amnesty International has done around the world, and I truly do think it's one of the leading organizations in defending human rights around the world. This is a giant and very shameful blind point that they seem to have. Like when it comes to Islamic totalitarianism, when it comes to Islamists pushing through their own will at the expense of everyone else, when it comes to laws that mandate that women wear the hijab, all of that. I mean, it's almost. I feel like there is a kind of Orientalist take on this, a perspective that they have about Islam or Muslims being within this protected minority category, where they are always within this category, this box of the oppressed, the minority, and fail to see that even though this is largely the case in many Western countries, in China, in many parts of the world, not in other parts of the world, Islam and Muslim communities are dominant, and within them there are very anti-liberal, anti-human streams of thought and belief that goes against everything that we hold dear and believe about human rights. I mean, Islamic human rights violations in general. I mean, they've talked about religious freedom, apostasy processes in Saudi Arabia to a certain degree. I mean, I wouldn't say it's shallow, because, to be honest, the case of Raif Badawi and things like that, they have done some great work there, but I think there's a lot to be questioned and rethought about the way that they deal with those issues. But going back to that, so Amnesty is behaving in a way that's less than ideal or right. Are there any organizations or groups that are doing what needs to be done in some capacity or another? I mean, I know Atheist Republic had some campaigns in and about Malaysia. I mean, a relatively small organization compared to Amnesty and those kinds of things. But yeah, is there something you'd like to add about the activities of Atheist Republic in and about Malaysia, and maybe other groups advocating for the rights of ex-Muslims?
Yes, I think more exposure need to be given about this. More things need to be. I know many people are afraid in Malaysia itself. They are afraid to talk about this. I think more people need to come up front and talk about this. I have taken a step, right now, if you can see in my channel, I have spoken directly. I say this thing is happening in Malaysia, and then I say I'm thinking right now. I don't know how things is going to happen, I just hope more people to come forward to talk genuinely what's happening, what they wanted. Like I have clearly said, I want human rights. I want human rights to be practiced in Malaysia equally. We are not a terrorist. We are just an activist. I'm right now like activist. I'm talking about human rights need to be applied universally, not even in Sweden or whatever. Malaysia also, Indonesia. So, when it comes to apostasy, why are you not granting us, You see, how many people are we going to run away? We can't run in our whole life, We are tired. So I just wanted, like, if I don't know how it's going to happen. Any organization, Atheist Republic or Atheist Alliances, they need to make a firm, they need to make a report stating that, hey, apostasy is a serious thing. They need to acknowledge outside, because the problem is they cannot expect an individual to come out and, guy, I'm at least look, what I say is that the problem is very complicated because this thing really need a case study, what's happening. Because Amnesty Malaysia refused to do that. I'm pleading right now to Amnesty Sweden to please help to study this case, but they agreed. They say, we want to study your case. Because if this is what I wanted, if they manage to study my case, it will be a big relief for people like me in Malaysia. You understand what I say? Because they know this thing is happening in Malaysia, so at least there is a light for them to leave. You know how many kids have been prosecuted? Many kids have no father in Malaysia. The kids wanted to have a father, but legality they don't have it. So if you ask me, more people need to be encouraged themselves to just come and talk about this.
So yeah, thank you so much, Feroz, for your perspective, for your story. We really enjoyed talking to you, and I think our audience is going to have a lot to think about, and probably learned a lot about this international human rights situation. Is there anything, any last words or anything you'd like to say to end this to our audience, or and would you like to also talk about your YouTube channel, your where you're active online, where people can follow you and follow your story and get in touch with you if you're interested in that?
Yeah, sure. I would like to say that basically for Malaysians, apostasy do exist. People like us exist. So if you want to get more information, people are suffering. I know that. You want to get information. You want to get some legal advices, how you need to do, how you know how to, escape for some things in Malaysia. You can contact, my Facebook, Incheck Murtad. It means Mr. Posted. You can just Google
we
Mr.
will
Posted.
Definitely link this in the description.
Yes.
Do be sure to send this to us as well so we can link it. What about your YouTube channel? What's that called?
My personal YouTube channel called Gerakan Murtad Malaysia means the movement of apostate Malaysia. And we have another one called, Angkatan Murtad Malaysia. That's like a group of apostates Malaysia. So we have two.
And the language is Malay there?
I speak Malay and English both, but mostly it's in Malay because this covering more in Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Brunei because they have the same, same culture. So, but there is in English so that people understand as well, in what they call that ex-Muslim Scandinavia as well. So I have given some of my testimony. So yes, so this is where they can reach, including my Twitter, same Mr. Murtad or Incheck Murtad. And so this is where people can approach me in case they want to find more about what's happening in Malaysia as well. Anyone. So yeah, they can even contact me to these channels because people are every day they're contacting me to ask about this. So yes, this will be a very good platform as well for them to understand more. That's what.
Yeah, I actually found out a while ago that that's a significant proportion of the people who watched my YouTube videos and followed me are in Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yes.
Surprisingly, even more than the people in like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. It seems to be a growing movement over there, and people are talking about this more and more, and people are getting enlightened. So I am encouraged by this. Hopefully, Malaysia is going to have a brighter future than it does at present, right? Like I said, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you for you also, like for Zach and to Ben to interview me. I really appreciate it. It's a very good platform, and I really appreciate because you have good ears and mind for you to really think and
thanks.
Yeah, really, I really appreciate when Nora approached me, and then I was like, I really wanted to be in that podcast. And then the problem is because due to timing and everything. But yes, today we made it. But really, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really hope that after this, trust me, you'll get more and more people like viewing the channel, because when we started to expose and reveal about Malaysia, Indonesia and everything, you can see a lot of people started supporting our movement. I would say this is our movement, against respecting our human rights. So yes, this is from me.
To apostates everywhere, to ex-Muslims everywhere. Yeah. Stay strong. We're with you.
Yeah.
We support you. You have a right to exist.
True.
And yeah, with that being said, it's almost 2 a.m. over here. And I do need to get to sleep at some point. So, have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.
And we'll see each other in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.